I don't know.
Say hi. Hi, Daddy. Hi, Daddy. Say hi, Daddy. Taking
Hiya.
pictures.
Hiya.
He gets the camera out and then she sticks it. Hi, Daddy.
Love that poochie doggy.
Just had a good dinner.
Love
Pop
that
and Gran
poochie
and toast.
doggy. She loves the poochie doggy. She don't know. There it is, over there, over there. She don't know where the other one is.
Here. Right there. There it is. Watch your head. Don't bump your
There
head.
we
You got it.
How big is Lacey?
So big.
How big is Lacey?
So big. Wait, she got a
Oh,
Oh,
so
so
big.
big.
She only got
So
one head.
big. She's so busy there.
Where you going? Where you going?
Stay on the grass. See, if you stay on the grass, then if you fall, you won't hurt yourself. Get the little teddy bear. Get the teddy bear. Dopey girl. That was real nice, Elise. That was really nice. Yeah. That was really nice. Nose. Nose. Eyes. Eyes. Nose. 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 That's eyes. Say eyes. Eyes. Nose. Ah. Come on the porch.
John, take a picture by the morning glories or something.
She do the talking. She do all that talking. Where's your toys?
She has a habit of slinging her toys backwards.
That's hot. That's hot.
Can you say hot, please?
Hot?
She loved that one little one. She loved that little.
You can't go any closer. I know, but you can't go anyhow, okay? You just have to stay right here. No, you can't go there. No, you can't go there, because that might fall. You can't go there, Lacey. Okay, thank you. That's a horsey. A horsey. That's a horsey. Yeah. Look at Mommy's in the tomatoes, too. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Come see them. Come see them. That's a flower. That's a dandelion. Not in your mouth. Go by Papa. Wait, John, before she goes in.
Oh, she's smelling
See,
the...
John, where I have stones on them,
Mm-hmm.
that means a large cluster being ready to pick. Through there to Hobby's Lake, to what they call the broom factory.
See, that's a
Oh,
tomato.
no, she's
See,
gonna
over
pull
there.
him. She's gonna pull him.
She won't pull him.
The hell she
She's
won't.
talking there. Look at
But that's what she wants to do.
Oh,
Pull
look
it.
at that.
No, no, Lacey. Don't pull the tomatoes.
She's
Not yet. They're
gonna
not
rip 'em.
ripe.
She's a good girl.
Oh boy.
Wow. Yes, this. Aren't they
Say
nice?
pop up, Lisi. Pop up?
Whoa.
Whoops.
Who brought the strawberries? Mmm.
Bite this one, maybe it's soft. This one, baby.
Now she's so excited with all this fruit. There we go. Isn't that nice? Does it taste sweet? Oh, look at Pop-Up eating the strawberry. Mmm. Delicious.
You better finish
Delicious.
it. This is
Oh,
right
okay.
one.
Okay. Let me put this down. Wait. Take a picture of the whole box, John. Look at this big box of strawberries. Look at this big box of strawberries. When the snow's falling on the ground, we'll watch this and say, oh, I wish I had some fresh
There we go.
strawberries.
Okay, here we go. Big.
Oh, boy. Okay. Say bye-bye, Daddy. Bye-bye, Daddy. How big is Lisi?
How big? Yay!
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 Yay! Let's clap for Pop-Up for bringing the fruit.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay! Yay!
She's all wound up. She's all wound up. Daddy, Kath, look at her new purse. Okay. Dog. Look who's here, Pop-Up.
Hey, you.
Oh, my
Where's
goodness.
it?
Hiya. Say hi, Pop. Hiya.
Confused. Hey,
Hiya.
sweetheart. Hiya, honey.
Doggy. Say
Oh, look
hi,
at BJ.
everybody.
Look at BJ. Look at BJ.
Oh.
Look, sit down.
She's scared.
Look at Beach. Look at Beach.
Oh, she loves the doggies.
Oh,
That's
she
your
likes
friend
BJ.
BJ. Hi, BJ.
Watch he doesn't knock her over. Gee, you do that with BJ here.
She's not afraid of any dog.
She stands
Look at her.
My God,
Oh,
she
you
must have
little
grown
stretch.
3 feet
Isn't she
since I
big?
saw her.
Oh, look at Cole Georgie. Sample.
The last time I seen her, she had
Oh, I just want
curly
to suck
black
on her
hair.
cheek. Craig, give her a kiss.
I can't believe it.
Did you give Milky
See,
a
I don't
kiss?
get to see
Hey,
anybody.
your little cousin. Can I get kisses?
You know,
Can I get
Kate,
kisses?
I'm so happy I have
Can
a
I get a
granddaughter
kiss?
that's a hot rod.
Oh,
That's why I'm here.
Her license.
She
Chris. Kathy, John?
I'm not sure, Tina. Is she here?
Kathy's daughter. What, honey?
Certified.
Oh
I figured
my
now's the time I
God.
better pay.
That's Uncle Jake's second words all the time. Where will you get my bill? Where do you
Isn't that nice?
can't believe her, George.
Hey, my little sweetheart, I didn't see her for a month or
Lisi!
more.
Hi, Lisi!
Hey, sweetheart, you met with me?
I know you're a bum, but I'm not sure.
I work for an insurance company. That's giving her dirt road.
Oh, God, I
Put you in the ground.
Oh, look at Iz. Look at my Izzy. I didn't know you were here. Oh, hello. Hi, Kane. Can I ask you a kiss? Hi, Kathy. I thought you were still in the car. Oh, really? Beautiful. Oh, beautiful. Hi, Graham. Oh. Here, oh, look at the older. Elise, take your thumb out of your mouth. Here.
Okay, now I'll dump Susie in the pool now.
How big? How big is Lacey? So big. How old is Elizabeth now, Susie? No. How old? Elizabeth's bigger. Elizabeth. Come on, you're here. Here, jump on the picture. 1987. We're about to have a big feast that Olga has been preparing in the kitchen. Our cousins from Georgia are here, Elizabeth and Lisa. Ready? Wait, Teensy. And Teeny has some paper for And Teeny's 3, Lizzie's 4, Leafy's 1,
And Susie's a -10.
and I'm 21.
Okay, come on.
Okay, let's go, girls. We're all holding hands. Uncle John's taking pictures. This is the light, isn't it? Last one is Syrian red.
Like this.
I gotta go get the camera too.
Oh, yeah, about a month ago or so.
She said I
Oh, you must be pretty stale by now. What, Lisi?
Just a minute, Lisa.
Narrating the garden. I have to put that stuff.
Elise, just a minute. I'll get some.
Thanks. Thanks, Elise.
No, I'll get you some. Just a minute. I'll get you some. Okay? So get you some. Just a minute. I bring it. I bring some. Yeah, I will. Wait, don't give Elise any. I'll give her, okay? She's over there folding that dog here.
Yeah, that's what she does.
Lacey,
My friend and she
come here.
She plays with his Look at
She loves that dog. She is so thrilled.
Yeah, she can't stand it. It's boring at our house. She comes here and we don't have any pets. We don't have.
You talking to the dog? Talk to the dog. Talk to the dog. Ask him, say, what's your name? Ask him, what's your name? Sweetheart. Ask the dog, say, what's your name? What's your name?
The yellow one. The white one.
Look at that.
I got two little white ones at home. They're about 3 weeks old. Were they the Angora ones? No. They're a mixture.
You like that Bow Wow?
I have a mixture one too.
3 weeks old.
They're ready to go.
That's a dog.
Yeah.
That's a dog in these. That's a dog.
These are beautiful.
That's a dog. Now look at how thrilled she is. Does he like that dog? That's a dog.
That one that you gave us.
That's a dog.
Yeah, they have a big dog. It's not everybody else. Well, funny, my dog gets along good with her, yeah? Well, some of the dogs chase
Who, your
them,
neighbor's
some
dog,
dogs
April?
What? No. The mother has I named her Rosie O'Brady. This is the daughter of Rosie O'Brady.
Go kart.
She killed a squirrel.
Run over my.
So.
No.
I never
They
knew
can't
what really
go.
happened. You get, I get 4 attacks and others.
Yeah, but I would have called it.
Yeah.
Did you know you were that small?
Did you have the
same time?
No, Wesley's 2 or 3 months old.
Wait, John, I'll have to watch it now.
November.
He's not little one yet. She's looking over there.
Give the kids. Oh, look at her.
Oh, look at it. Oh, Daniel. I got you.
Hey, do it again, Wes.
Here, Wes. Think you got some girl, she give me a kiss and clap her hands.
After Wesley went like this.
Where's your wife, Johnny?
Down the house.
Huh?
When I was pregnant.
She's making spaghetti sauce.
Was she picking any beans?
She's getting ready to.
A lot of them there. I have to see them wait. Taking pickles. She gets some vinegar and sugar and Johnny's with her out. She's buying.
Come here.
Come on, Angela.
I'm with you.
John.
Oh, look at how
Yeah.
everybody moves.
Come on.
Here, I'm up. Where's get
Lizzie.
Papa?
I gotta watch my
Go
kids.
get Papa.
Okay. Come on, Graham.
Come on, George. All the blackberries along that wall.
Hey, get over there. Hurry up. They're waiting.
Come on, school and your children.
Let him sit on the floor, honey.
Izzy, sit here. No. Oh, all right. Okay. Come on. Okay, we're ready. Smile. Say
Say
cheese.
cheese.
Lacey.
Lacey, Lacey, Lacey. Lacey, look at.
Okay. Wait, one more.
Daisy, where you going? Where you going?
We all wait.
Lacey, look at.
Look at Lacey. Look at Papa.
Okay, now, Dad, you sit here. Everybody
Here,
wait.
take one with mine.
Lisa, you
Well,
go there.
I can't, because I know
Hey,
mine.
George. Hey, George. Come on, take one out.
Hey, George, go take.
Yeah, we have all these pictures of taped together because there's always one person missing.
I already got one.
Oh, there she is.
Here, I'll get in this.
Please, come here, Lacey.
Are you going to sit here,
Wait.
Okay, cheese.
Cheese.
Did you say cheese? Okay, what? Let me see, Lee. Show me, Lee.
That's our bug killers, you know? We kick spiders, though. I don't like spiders.
She picked it.
I know, I won't tell you. Explaining why you get so angry when we call you that.
Tree, honey. I don't want you up in there.
Lacey, give Wesley a kiss.
Lacey.
Hey, you.
Lacey, give Wesley a kiss.
Some of his wildest characters from those memorable days at Saturday Night Live and parodies from Frank Sinatra.
Lose a nickel, but current stockholders will see their ownership of the bank reduced to less than 3%. The new bank will belong partly to the FDIC.
Carl Malden, John Forsythe, both tonight on Larry King Live, 9 Eastern on CNN.
This is CNN, a service of Turner Broadcasting System.
Moneyline is brought to you in part by NEC.
Live from the world's financial capital, New York City, this is Moneyline with Lou Dobbs for Thursday, September 10th, 1987.
Good evening. CNN Business News has learned that the R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company has created something sought by the tobacco industry in this country for years, a so-called smokeless cigarette. Sources say the company is expected to claim next week that it has mastered the technical problems but will not enter production until the winter. Steve Young is here tonight. He has the story. Steve?
Lou, the smokeless cigarette project has been shrouded in secrecy for more than a year. Even the name of the product is still a mystery. The company reportedly has at least 2 names and 2 packages in order to keep it that way. There are indications that R.J. Reynolds is advancing the announcement because it believes that with the fabrication of production machinery, too many employees are learning details to keep the project quiet. Reynolds also reportedly is concerned about potential competition in the race for the smokeless cigarette. Another type of smokeless cigarette based on polyethylene laced with nicotine was tested in the San Antonio area. The company, Advanced Tobacco Products Incorporated, is now defunct because the Food and Drug Administration wouldn't approve the product. The FDA can take action against a cigarette containing no tobacco, but ironically, it has no say over a so-called smokeless cigarette if there's tobacco in it. And there is tobacco in the Reynolds cigarette. But is it really smokeless? Experts say that's impossible when tobacco and cigarette paper, both vegetable matter, undergo less than complete combustion, which can only be achieved in pure oxygen. So how will Reynolds do the seemingly impossible? By using special paper and altering the tobacco, the company could create smaller smoke particles which would not scatter blue light. That would eliminate visible cigarette smoke. Smaller particles would scatter ultraviolet light, which is invisible to the eye. It's believed to be a low-tar, reduced nicotine product. Artificial fragrances would mask the smell of the smoke. Artificial flavors would make it taste more satisfying. If that's what R.J. Reynolds means by a smokeless cigarette, the product could blunt criticism of smokers, but wouldn't prevent their smoke from subjecting non-smokers to irritation and the risk of disease. An EPA expert, Lou, says the R.J. Reynolds announcement is likely to be a major public relations coup that could cloud the issue of indoor pollution.
Okay, Steve. RJ, their reaction to all of this today?
Well, as you know, we sought their reaction for hours, and shortly before we went on the air, we got a call back finally from their senior vice president, who said that he would neither confirm nor deny our story, but there was a decided smile in his voice, and when I said, "Are we invited to the announcement next week?" he kept smiling, I mean laughing almost in the background.
Okay. Steve, thank you. Well, an important ruling today in Washington could affect phone customers. The 7 regional phone companies, the Baby Bells, winning only a split decision from the judge overseeing the ongoing breakup of Ma Bell. But the decision could crack open the door on a $5 billion market. Tom Cassidy reports from New York.
The 222-page ruling will eventually have a powerful impact on at least 2 businesses, answering machines and security systems. But it also bridles the ambition of regional phone companies to compete with AT&T in a new information age.
I think the ultimate impact is on the consumer, that many of the benefits of the information age may not be available to the consumer in the kind of time frame that we had hoped we could assist in that process.
Specifically, Judge Harold Green orders the Baby Bell phone companies to stay out of the long-distance phone business and the manufacturing of telecommunications equipment. But for the first time, Green permits limited entree into the transmission of information services, like message storing and alarm monitoring. Analyst Bill McKeever says Judge Green's go-slow approach means less for investors than for customers.
In this decision today, he has slammed the door shut in the regional's face for providing long-distance telephone service, for manufacturing any type of equipment, even basic telephones. I could see perhaps some exception in that the regionals would be free to enter some new and rather intriguing businesses, as an example, cable television.
Other possibilities could include electronic mail, plus information pass-through systems, and the Baby Bells may start shopping to acquire software companies with appropriate know-how. Judge Green's new ruling stands for 2 years, but already experts on Wall Street expect political pressure to resume in Congress and on the Federal Communications Commission to accelerate further changes. Tom Cassidy, CNN Business News, New York.
Well, phone company stocks were mixed on that news. Telephone itself up 1/2. Ameritech up 1/8. Bell Atlantic lost 3/8. Bell South lost 1/4. Pacific Telesis up 1/8. Southwestern Bell lost 5/8. NYNEX gained 3/4, and U.S. West finished unchanged. Well, Baby Bell stocks may have been mixed, but there was no doubt where the rest of the market was headed when trading opened on the big board. Higher. The Dow Jones Industrials holding well above yesterday's close throughout the session. The Dow finishing with a strong gain of 26.78. It was a broad rally. Other averages also advancing, and of course we'll have the complete wrap-up for you on Wall Street later here in Moneyline. Well, if you've been doing a lot of trading but don't think your broker is doing you right, you're in luck. The Securities and Exchange Commission wants to make sure that your gripe about your broker is treated fairly. Today, commissioners took a vote that could change the way disputes are handled. Deborah Marchini has the story from Washington.
The SEC moved to eliminate possible abuses in the system for settling disputes between stockbrokers and their customers. The move coming after the Supreme Court affirmed in June that customers who sign arbitration agreements can't sue their brokers if the relationship turns sour. Most customers who buy stock on credit are asked to sign arbitration agreements, and brokerage houses are increasingly extending those agreements to cash accounts too. That means that most disputes between investors and their brokers will now be settled in arbitration, and the SEC has some concerns.
Among those concerns is a sense that it is important that the customers of brokers be treated fairly, and that those customers believe they are being treated fairly.
To ensure that, the SEC voted to recommend changes in the arbitration process. The most sweeping of the proposed changes would limit the use of arbitrators with any ties to the securities industry, and hence any potential conflict of interest. But that troubles the National Association of Securities Dealers, which runs the largest arbitration program.
Over 70% of our arbitrators who are public arbitrators have some sort of industry tie. And it will mean that we will have to go on a major recruitment effort.
That, at a time when the number of cases presented for arbitration has been mushrooming, and it's expected to grow still faster in the wake of the Supreme Court ruling. The industry will have 3 years to adapt to the proposed change. Other changes could come sooner. The SEC is continuing to scrutinize the arbitration process. It says the latest move is only a first step. Deborah Marchini, CNN Business News, Washington.
Also in Washington today, William Verity, the president's nominee to head the Commerce Department, enthusiastically endorsed free trade between the United States and the Soviet Union, or at least freer trade. During confirmation hearings before the Senate Commerce Committee, the former head of Armco said it's counterproductive to use trade as a lever between the superpowers. If confirmed, Verity would succeed Malcolm Baldrige, who died in a writing accident in July.
CNEC for total office systems that boost productivity with the right medium for every message. Systems that handle voice, data, text, and image with equal ease. CNC Office Systems, from the world leader in integrating computers and communications, NEC.
4 hours in OR and 3 to go.
I'm so busy caring for others, I don't have time to think about me. So I count on Mutual of America.
For over 40 years, Mutual of America has been caring for the financial security of nurses and countless others who work in the not-for-profit community.
Now with my special pension plan, I don't worry about my retirement. Thanks to Mutual of America.
Mutual of America, caring for Americans who care for us all.
No better value? Absolutely. Our new Tandy 1000HX is made in the USA and designed to be one of the easiest to use PC compatibles ever. And it's priced for the home. Just how easy is it? Turn it on, it's ready to go. The whole family can use it for education, games, and budgeting. We even give you 7 programs to get started, including word processing, filing, and spreadsheet.
Easy enough, no better value.
Tandy Computers, because there is no better value. Only at Radio Shack.
Get the competitive edge with CNN's Business Briefing.
Stock prices
Stuart
down
Barney and Business Morning, delivering the vital current market conditions.
Leading the news,
Bill Hartley and Business Day, continuing to bring you market updates and the breaking stories that affect the way you do business. CNN's Business Briefing, live, weekday mornings beginning at 6:30 Eastern, only on CNN.
These top-flight aces of the NBA have made this annual affair a high-flying shootout. The Push Basketball Classic. 10:05 Eastern on the Superstation Saturday night.
Japan's politically embarrassing trade surplus shrank by almost a third in the month of August. Japan exported $5 billion worth of goods, more than it imported. Economists say that that report should reduce some of the friction between Japan and the United States, which has been considering protectionist legislation.
The trade deficit numbers from Japan, the trade surplus numbers from Japan, showed a very good improvement. And that's giving some people hope for the U.S. statistics that are just about to be released.
Those numbers, of course, will be out tomorrow. They'll be watched closely by the markets. A survey by Money Market Services of 40 economists had predictions ranging from $17 billion for the highest to $13 billion for the lowest on that deficit. The majority predicting a $16 billion deficit. We'll tell you how those predictions come out, at least by tomorrow. Higher oil prices, auto imports, two of the main reasons. July is also considered to be a slow month for exports. Well, South Korean car maker Hyundai says strikes in that country have cost the company about 20,000 car sales. But as Robert Vito reports tonight from Detroit, the future of the fourth largest auto importer into this country looks very bright indeed.
One of the greatest gambles in automotive history has turned into one of the greatest success stories ever. A year ago, South Korea's Hyundai Motor Car Company saw an opportunity. It introduced one of the cheapest priced subcompacts to hit American showrooms in years. The small cars were an instant hit. Priced at around $5,300, the company racked up the best first-year performance by an import ever. Its second-year sales are 60% higher than the previous year, and Hyundai is expanding its network of 190 dealers in 31 states to 240 dealers in 45 states.
Our next big step is to establish a dealer network here in a central region, and this central region will cover 14 states. Now the move will begin soon with about 20 dealerships in Chicago, Cincinnati, Minneapolis, and St. Louis, and they all are beginning this month. And it means that we're on target for our plans.
But while things are going well in the U.S., Hyundai has problems at home in South Korea. Last month, a 15-day strike cost the automaker about 20,000 cars and lost production. Hyundai paid heavily to end the strike, and now industry analysts say that could mean a price increase.
An educated guess would be 1 or 2%, but it would be nothing more than that. And they may decide not to raise prices at all. They may just decide to eat whatever the wage increase is.
Industry analysts expect Hyundai's South Korean workers to call a new round of strikes. The analysts say that's about the only thing that could seriously hurt Hyundai's expansion in the United States. Robert Vito, CNN, Detroit.
Zamfir returns with his all-new album, Encore. Following the gold record
record success of his American debut album, which left you yearning for more, Polytail presents 20 unforgettable Zamfir performances never before available. Zamfir, the world's most acclaimed instrumental star, has enchanted millions throughout the world with his mastery of the magical pan flute. Don't miss the opportunity to own Zamfir's Encore, an album you'll treasure forever. Zamfir's Encore, the most complete collection available on 2 LPs or double-length cassette, just $12.95. Or get the entire collection on compact disc, only $14.95. Order now.
To order, credit card customers call 1-800-942-6200. If busy, call 1-800-824-1300. Or send just $12.95 for albums or cassette, or $14.95 for compact disc, plus $3 shipping and handling to Encore, P.O. Box 7000-1, Amherst, New York.
Several OPEC oil ministers today admitted at a meeting in Vienna that the cartel is pumping out about 1 million barrels of oil more than its official production lid. Unofficial reports put that figure as high as 3 million barrels a day more. The OPEC pricing and production panels are expected to issue a statement tomorrow about measures to cut their production. Oil prices, despite the prospect of that statement, made solid gains today. West Texas crude for October delivery up 29 cents. Settling on the New York Mercantile at $19.67 a barrel. Stock prices closed higher as the dollar firmed today. That news of a shrinking Japanese trade surplus encouraged dollar traders, although there are some lingering concerns about tomorrow's trade numbers. The dollar gaining a fraction against the pound sterling, the Deutschmark, and the Japanese yen. Bond prices like that steady dollar as well. The Treasury's bellwether long bond adding just about a half, 15-30 seconds, pushing the yield down to 9.56%. And all of that added up to a lot of good news for stocks. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closing the day higher, up almost 27 points, up 26.78. The Dow finished at 2,576.05. Volume today, active trading, 179,790,000 shares. On the big board, advancing issues beating out decliners by a margin of better than 2 to 1. The New York Stock Exchange Composite Index up 1.67. The S&P 500 up 3.21. The Dow Transportations rose 7.77. The utilities down 0.65. On the over-the-counter market, the NASDAQ Composite Index posting a good solid gain of 4.29 to close at 443.48 on volume of 158,276,000 shares. Heavy trading on the over-the-counter. On the American Exchange, that index finished at 351.48. A solid gain there as well. That index up 3.93 on the day. Heavy trading, 16,267,000 shares. The 10 most active issues on the big board as reported. Telephone rose a half. First City Bancorp of Texas down 5/8 after losing a quarter of a point yesterday on that bailout by the FDIC. National Semiconductor up 7/8. Pacific Gas and Electric down a quarter. Gillette up 1 7/8. We'll be hearing more from Dan Dorfman here in just a few moments. General Electric gained 3/4. IBM up a half. Philip Morris up 3 7/8. Eastman Kodak up 1 3/8. Chevron down 1/8. I should mention that Philip Morris had no explanation for that good point move in its stock today. For today's big market movers, New York investor Howard Caskell wants to take over Kansas City Southern. And that stock rose 3 3/4. Warner Lambert got some good news from a report just out on anti-cholesterol drugs. Expecting healthy sales, the stock up 3 1/8. Pharmaceutical company Alza up 4 5/8. A buy recommendation by Goldman Sachs there. Bethlehem Steel up 1 3/8. It's back on analyst buy lists after a surge of new orders. IMS International stock up 2 7/8, replacing Burlington on the S&P 500. As I mentioned, Gillette, a widely touted takeover candidate, heating up again, leading to widespread speculation on the street that some sort of deal could be in the offing. Moneyline columnist Dan Dorfman is here tonight. He has the very latest on all of that Wall Street talk for us. Dan.
Lou, Oppenheimer and Company today put the shares of Gillette on its restricted list. That means that no broker at Oppenheimer can solicit any orders in Gillette. You can buy the stock, but no broker can ask you to buy it. Now, what happened was that sparked a slew of rumors. Before getting to the rumors, let's look at the stock price. which you just, on Wednesday, the stock was up 2 1/8. You mentioned a moment ago, Lou, was up 1 7/8. It's 52-week range. Look at that. It's right near its high. An estimated deal price somewhere between $54 and $56 a share. Now let's look at the rumors. What was the outcome of that Oppenheimer action? Well, one was that Oppenheimer had taken a stake in the stock for a Raider. Oppenheimer wouldn't comment on that. Another one was that Unilever was going to bid at $50 to $52 for a share for the company. No comment from Unilever. E2 Holdings, the conglomerate controlled by a fellow named Donald Kelly, was going to bid $52. He couldn't be reached. Another story, Irwin Jacobs had top 5%. The fact is that's not true, but the Jacobs situation should be watched carefully. Then there was going to be a Gillette LBO at $50 a share. No comment from Gillette. And then there was going to be a higher bid from Revlon, which has already bid $47. There was no comment from Gillette. But I can tell you that no comment from Revlon, rather, but I can tell you that rumor is untrue so far.
Okay. Which rumor is untrue?
It's untrue that Revlon has increased its bid beyond $47 a share.
Okay, and today's close, 43 5/8. Why wouldn't the stock be sitting at 47?
Because it has to happen. You know, people always discount from it.
Okay.
Lou, the stock is in play. It's going.
Okay. It was also your 5 favorites on Tuesday, 5 favorite takeover issues on Tuesday.
Remember that?
So you're up about 4 points on Gillette so far.
11 and 5, up 4 points on Gillette.
Okay.
11. That's 11%.
Right, you mentioned.
Annualize that.
Okay. Well, no, you annualize it so quickly. you did so good with the 11 5/8% there.
Okay.
You mentioned 4 other stocks. You mentioned MCA, Foster Wheeler, Mead, and McGraw-Hill. Let's take you to the next step. Which one is the next one to heat up?
Foster Wheeler.
Foster Wheeler.
Foster Wheeler.
Dan Dorfman, thank you for being with us.
You're welcome.
We'll continue with Moneyline in just a moment. Please stay with us.
Live Music presents
Unforgettable.
the legendary Nat King Cole.
That's what you are. Rambling Rose. Roll out those lazy, hazy, crazy days of summer.
He sold over 25 million records, the most popular entertainer the world has ever known.
Pretend you're happy when you're blue.
His songs touch the hearts of the world.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Mona Lisa.
22 timeless classics, digitally mastered from the priceless originals.
She is great after being out late, walking my baby back home. They try to tell us we're too young.
After you purchase the Nat King Cole collection, you'll have the opportunity to audition other legendary singers from Time Life. To introduce you to the Time Life's legendary singers, Nat King Cole is now available on 2 albums or double-length cassette, just $12.95.
To order Nat King Cole, credit card customers call 1-800-262-0900. If busy, call 1-800-453-6600 or send just $12.95 for albums or cassette plus $2.50 shipping and handling to Nat King Cole, P.O. Box 7000-1, Amherst, New York.
A Texas newspaper company that bought the Dallas Times-Herald last year today bought the Houston Post. Media News Group paying $150 million, as well as a future payment to be determined for Houston's second largest newspaper. Now, my colleague Myron Candell, an old newspaper man himself, that's the way he characterizes himself, I didn't, as this analysis of that Texas newspaper war. Myron?
Lou, you worked for a newspaper once.
That's right.
I know that too.
But I never refer to myself as an old newspaper.
Well, I have more gray hair than you. But to the point at hand, in the hotly competitive but very profitable newspaper business, some people think the only one to own is the #1 paper in town, but not William Dean Singleton. He's the 36-year-old Texan who bought his first newspaper at age 21 and now owns 27 dailies and 28 weeklies in 8 states. Singleton and his privately held company Media News Group first catapulted into real prominence last year when it paid $110 million for the Dallas Times-Herald and promptly stepped up its bid of war with the Dallas News, which leads that market. Now, Singleton has bought another #2 paper in a major Texas city, the Houston Post, after failing, by the way, in a bid to buy the larger Houston Chronicle earlier this year. That paper was bought by the Hearst Corporation. So Singleton and his group will now be engaged in two bitter battles against larger competitors. We won't know for some time how successful he'll be, but at a time when most American cities have been reduced to one ownership newspaper monopolies, the prospect of heightened competition in Houston and Dallas is certain to benefit the citizens of both those cities. In the press as in the marketplace, we need more competition, not less.
Well, that's true in newspapers, certainly not television news.
Even in television, remember when we started cable news network 7+ years ago?
Only dimly now, Myron. Only dimly. Thank you. Well, Tiffany's is celebrating its 150th anniversary, a series of parties, exhibitions now throughout the country. The store, of course, best known for fine jewelry, probably most sentimental among that, the diamond. As Todd Benjamin reports, diamonds may be a girl's best friend, but the cost of that friendship is becoming certainly more dear.
Anywhere you cut it, diamond prices are increasing. De Beers Consolidated Mines, which controls 80% of the world diamond market, is raising the price of its uncut diamonds 10% on average next month, following a 14.5% boost last year. Diamond expert Benjamin Zucker says those increases will be passed on quickly to consumers.
For the good stones, between 15 and 20%. For the very small stones, let's say a typical quarter-carat engagement ring sold for $400 or $500 in a store, that will go up a few percent only, 2, 3, 4%. And then the rest somewhere in between.
The higher prices come on the heels of stronger demand, primarily for larger, better quality stones. Demand in the Far East is up sharply because a weaker dollar makes diamonds, which are dollar-denominated, less expensive. But the biggest buyers of diamond jewelry are Americans. Barry Haberman, who has a jewelry store in New York, says his diamond sales are up 20% over last year.
Jewelry, they've purchased houses and cars, and now they want to buy some luxury items for themselves that they can wear and enjoy every day.
Last year, Americans purchased more than 18 million pieces of diamond jewelry, valued at nearly $10 billion. Average purchase, $535, compared to less than $400 in 1982. Diamonds, of course, are most often associated with love. Nearly 3/4 of brides receive diamond engagement rings, and the size of the diamond is getting bigger, approaching a ½ carat, or nearly twice the size of 1980. For those who view diamonds as an investment, prices which peaked in 1980 with inflation concerns and plummeted by 1985 are rising again, from $12,000 in the beginning of the year to about $15,000 now. The 4 C's, cut, color, clarity, and carat weight, determine a diamond's value. But maybe a 5th C should be added, checkbook. Todd Benjamin, CNN Business News, New York.
And that is Moneyline for this Thursday evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Lou Dobbs. Good night from New York.
For a transcript of this program, send a self-addressed stamped envelope and a check for $3 to Moneyline Transcripts, CNN, 5 Penn Plaza, New York, New York, 10001.
My father had a heart attack, so I asked my doctor how to help keep my heart healthy. He recommended a low-fat, low-cholesterol diet, moderate exercise, and more fish. Since I don't eat enough fish, I take Cardio Omega-3 capsules. Why Cardio Omega-3? It has the important ingredient from fish most diets lack, which many doctors believe is a natural way to help reduce high cholesterol and help lower the risk of heart disease. So I take Cardio Omega-3 every day. I feel great. After all, I've got a lot to live for.
Stock market investors, now you can receive Value Line for only $60 and get our 2,000-page Investor's Reference Guide as a gift. It brings you Value Line's latest research reports on 1,700 stocks ready for your instant use. You'll also get the next 10 weeks of complete Value Line service for only $60. Call us for your gift reference set and start Value Line coming every week. Take advantage of coming market changes. Call us now, 800-342-5856.
Follow the leader into the future of television. CNN, the world's most important network.
Hi, this is Larry King. You won't want to miss tonight's edition of Larry King Live from Los Angeles. Two very familiar figures in your home will be with us. The brilliant Karl Malden and that terrific actor, John Forsythe. Karl Malden, John Forsythe, both tonight on Larry King Live, 9 Eastern on CNN.
I'm George Plimpton, inviting you to experience the pleasures of Architectural Digest. Only Architectural Digest lets you inside the homes of people such as Johnny Carson, Jane Seymour, and Donald Trump. Homes our foremost architects consider their own proudest achievements. Doesn't Architectural Digest belong in your home?
Get 12 issues of Architectural Digest for only $29.95. Save almost 45% off the cover price. Call 1-800-257-1257.
Crossfire is brought to you by Ford and your local Ford dealer, who invite you to see the 1987 Ford cars and trucks. Have you driven a
here, frankly, is we'll get an important top somewhere around August 24th or 25th. That will precede a correction into the solar eclipse and autumnal equinox on September 23rd.
Sexton goes on to say that the correction will not last long, that we will rally again, but 1988, he says, will see a serious correction for the long term, and it appears that we might have finally found our bear in this market. Well, Myron Kandel, exhausted by the week's hectic pace of trading, is heading off on vacation for the next week, but before he goes, he will favor us with a final analysis on the week, and in that analysis, he takes a look at the bond market.
Lou, even though I'm on record as predicting a correction, I must say I was rooting for the Dow to close over the 2,700 mark today. That's because that would have meant the Dow cracked 2 centennial marks in the same week, something that never happened before. Although that was not to be, it doesn't detract from the market's spectacular performance this week, the biggest gain ever for the Dow and record big board volume. There was a lot of economic news this week. That's why I'm so exhausted. The Treasury refunding went better than expected. The trade deficit was a lot worse than expected. The bond market, here's the bond market. It now ended the week on an upbeat note, and the Dow Jones Utility Average was the best performer of all the major averages this week, shooting up 4.5%, well above the Dow Industrials gain of 3.6%. But while the industrials are close to their all-time high, the utilities are still more than 6% away from the record they set last January. What's important, though, is that they've now made up nearly 2/3 of the drop from that January high to their May low, and the interest-sensitive utilities may be telling us that the bond market is ready to rally, and interest rates, at least for now, are heading down. Today's dramatic change in direction by bond prices may be a sign of that strength. Lou, that's the note I'm leaving you on, and I'm out of here.
Well, not quite. You sort of blew out as a stock market forecaster. Now you're turning to the bond market?
I just say that this is sometimes a precursor of a rally in the market. The Dow Utilities, very interest sensitive. But there's another factor. We have time for another factor?
Oh, go for it.
Okay.
If it's a quick factor.
There's a feeling that the utilities are turning into real businesses, and they're being operated more than interest sensitive stocks. In fact, we even had a takeover in the utility industry this week. That may be another reason why the utility average is up so much. So 2 reasons, take your choice.
But you still didn't really answer what I asked, and that was you've moved sort of from forecasting the stock market to the bond market. Are you feeling more comfortable about the direction of the bond market than, say, the stock market?
I'm taking a hiatus from the stock market this week. I still think we're going to see a major not a major correction, a sharp correction, but not major, and then up and away.
Now everybody knows why you need a little bit of a rest, and we've encouraged this, and we want you to have a very nice vacation, Myron. Thank you. Well, finally tonight, a lot of money made on Wall Street this week. Certainly not all of the money made was on Wall Street. For example, This man, best known for his eccentric appearance and sometimes behavior and passable college football skills, today put his name on a professional football contract, a contract worth a reported $11 million over the next 10 years. Where else but in America could a man who once worked on an automobile assembly line and who didn't put all the bolts in the right places and who wears his hair like a rainbow make that kind of money before even showing up to work for the Seattle Seahawks? That's Moneyline for this Friday evening. We thank you for joining us. I'm Lou Dobbs. Have a very pleasant weekend.